So it's no secret that Woods can be a terrible map to play on when you have no idea what's going on. Instant spawn deaths, getting shot from supposedly random places, this map can be an absolute nightmare. So today let's get into how to survive Woods. So if you want to follow along, there will be a link for a map down in the description down below, so feel free to bring that up. As always, guys, all of this was filmed live on my Twitch where I stream 5 days every week. If you want to see me die, that'll also be in the description down below. Let's start off with the RUAF roadblock spawn. Now, this is one of the most popular spawns, and as you can see, the red line is one of the paths that people take down the coast. But a lot of the time, they actually hug the wall and head towards Gate to Factory. Now, if you're not sure where this is, there's actually 2 crates near RUAF roadblock. And there's actually a spawn on the other end of the UN roadblock, just all the way down the road here, marked by orange, where a lot of fights happen in this forest, which is just between the two. Now, obviously, they have the option to go towards the right and avoid this area completely, but this area I'm about to highlight in blue here is a massive problem area when spawning. Now, if we jump straight into a raid, this is the spawn that I'm talking about. So I'm actually down here, and you can see down the very end would be the RUAF roadblock. Now, what I want you guys to understand is I'm going to speed this up here for the sake of time, but I'm actually going to push straight down this road for a reason. Now, there's a spawn on my right-hand side past the red brick factory area, and we're going to get into that later on in the video. We're going to go straight for the forest. I'm going to try and deal with this guy on the very end. So as I push up, guys, it's going to be sped up just for the sake of time, but the whole entire time I'm just looking around these trees and along the wall on my left to see if I can see him. And you notice once I get to the edge of the clearing, I start to aim up that rock that usually has the 2 crates behind it past the tank. And you can notice that I'm scanning the back wall at the rock and also along the back wall there to see if I can see anyone. Now, obviously the visibility is not great, but I know exactly what I'm doing and where I'm looking. I'm looking along the wall to see if he's pushed along. What's actually interesting here is I haven't seen anyone, so I start to gain a level of false confidence. And so the mistake that I made here in this raid is I'm pushing up quite high, trying to get eyes on those rocks out towards the water. But what I didn't realize is in the fog out towards the right is where he was. And he's obviously spawned exactly where I thought he would spawn, but I obviously didn't see him. Now, this was the main mistake that I made here as I just pushed out in the open. Now, once again, if we run it back from a little bit more of a different standpoint, in the middle forest before the RUAF roadblock is possible to have this exact same fight happen once again, but you're actually much closer to your opponent. Now, you can spawn in the forest and have someone at RUAF, and you can also have someone behind you at the old station, which can come up behind you or continue to leave towards ZB16 and then wrap on you. So a lot of the time you will have fights out towards these middle rocks if you're not careful when you are red. So obviously, guys, I like to clean up the spawn that's nearest to me and then move on from that point. I never allow people behind me. So you can see that I'm in the middle of the forest now, and once again, I'm going to be running straight towards RUAF because I have an idea that someone's probably spawned there. So it's going to be the first thing on my checklist in raid. But once again, you can see that I'm zoomed in, checking the rocks and also looking towards the rock which has 2 crates behind it. Now, once again, I'm going to be crossing the road here and getting up high. Now, this isn't always a mistake and sometimes can be a really good idea. But a lot of the time, if your opponent has a very CQB gun and you allow him to get close, like what happened to me, it may end up being your demise. So once again, importantly, play to the strengths of your gun. If you have a bolt action, maybe don't consider pushing RUAF, try and get further back and then peek it. Now, if we take a step back and go towards Mountain Stash or Cliff Descent and where Sniper Scav is here with the crash plane, there are a few spawns along ZB16 and along the left-hand side here on the west border that are constant regular spawn fights. And they happen along this wall where I'm drawing this red line right here, all the way up to Old Station. Now, obviously, you can run up towards RUAF, but this is one of the more common spawn fights. It's usually someone spawns either at UN roadblock or at Old Station, and they'll push up along this wall here, and if you actually spawn up at the top and then wrap along the wall down towards Old Station, you will run into them. So we got the spawn near Mountain Stash, and the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be heading up here with the wall on my left. Now, the first thing that you need to understand is that there is a good possibility that there are 2 spawns ahead of me here. Now, they're not going to be there all the time, but if you notice, when I'm pushing up, my eyes are scanning at the top of the hill and to my right. Now, a lot of the time, the people that spawn up on this hill will actually run straight across the ZB16, but other times they wrap along this wall and start heading towards Spine. So if you do get the Mountain Stash spawn and you just randomly run towards Spine, don't be surprised when you get shot in the back. Now, as I push up to the top of the hill, I swear I heard a bush, so I start to become a little bit more skeptical here, with my eyes sort of starting to look towards ZB16 and around those middle rocks down below me. Now, I know for a fact that there's a spawn on my left and also one further down, and this is when I first hear a bush. As soon as I throw the nade, what I do notice is it manages to flush out one of the spawns here with a fully geared dude with a HK. Now this dude is moving left to right here because he was indeed actually in that spawn, and as soon as I threw the grenades, I got him to move. Now similarly, this is a pretty common spawn fight in woods, and it actually happens the opposite way around. If I spawn where he was spawned, sometimes that second spawn that I was talking about behind Red Brick can actually happen. You know, the RUAF road spawn trap that I was talking about? Well, if they were to run the opposite way, they could run into me here. Now, if I run back past the train yard here, and you're going to be noticing the entire time I'm looking here on my left towards UN roadblock, and the people that spawned here might either be heading along towards RUAF or they may be heading towards me. In this particular situation, I decided to double back because I wanted to do some sniping on the rocks. And along the way running towards UN, I heard some bushes on the other side here. That's when I pushed up and noticed two dudes at the very start of the raid, which both spawned at UN roadblock. Now once again, if we look at it differently from Mountain Stash spawn, past Cliff Descent here, this is where things sort of get interesting. Now, obviously the person that spawns at Mountain Stash can just continue to go towards Spine and leave the area completely, or sometimes they spawn a bit closer towards West Border and then a really common spawn fight happens along here. Now this one's going to be a little bit different, but you notice I'm in the place of the HK guy, and I'm going to be running back towards Spine this time. And what I'm going to be doing is the first thing that's going to be going through my head is, has someone spawned in the top right corner there near Mountain Stash, or are they further towards Cliff Descent? If you're not sure where that is, that's just up along the left there towards Sniper Scav Mall. So once again, I'm scanning the rocks to see if I can see anyone and making sure if I am not going to get shot by someone sitting here on the rocks. And that's when I hear the spawn slightly past it, and lo and behold, here came someone running. Now, if we take this and go to the other side, and this is ZB14, this is some of the most dangerous areas in woods, in my opinion, and one of the most difficult sides to survive. Now, there are countless angles and countless spawn fights that happen around this area. However, as some would lead you to believe, it's actually not random at all. Now, a lot of the time, there are about 3 to 4 specific patterns of spawning around this area, and it can be very predictable. Now, if you spawn over at East Gate and you run along with the wall on your right-hand side out towards Outskirts, you're going to be noticing there's a lot of crossovers here. Now, usually someone spawns out at Outskirts and someone will spawn behind Scav House and then another one at East Gate. Now, if you're not sure what I'm talking about here, well, I'm at East Gate currently with an MPX. I'm pushing up, and the first thing I'm going to be checking for is someone towards ZB14. Now, someone could definitely spawn very close to me, just on the other side of the road. So when I run up and push down, I'm actually looking on my right, making sure no one's made the move, and here is the person I was talking about. Now, he would have spawned just past ZB14 along the wall and pushed straight up. Now, if we flip this once again and realize that if he spawned at ZB14, what is the likelihood of the other spawns? Now, a lot of the time people spawn at ZB14 and run straight across the road towards what I call Pebbles, which is one of the other spawns, or they head straight towards Dickhead or Logging Camp. Now, what's really interesting is when they spawn at ZB, someone is most likely going to spawn at Pebbles. Now, Pebbles are these group of rocks here, which you'll notice near Scav House. And a lot of the time down by the water, the people at Pebbles will double back towards Outskirts. Now, if you do double back towards Outskirts, understand that near Outskirts is an additional spawn, which is usually behind Scav House. Now, this person behind Scav House has two options. They usually go towards Outskirts because it's safer, or they run across ZB14 and get killed by the person that usually spawns there. Now, people aren't stupid, so a lot of the time they'll actually head towards Outskirts, which is the blue line heading towards the left there, and a spawn fight will happen at that back wall. Now, to show this in action, I am here spawning at Pebbles. Now, this is just outside what I call Scope Shack. And you can see the rocks on my left-hand side. The first thing that I do is I run towards outskirts. Now, the entire time, I'm keeping my eyes peeled out towards behind Scav House and also along the wall because a lot of people like to push up. Now, occasionally, sometimes people go inside Scav House, but not all the time. You don't really want to be standing around in this area and exposing yourself for too long, but if you do get this spawn, you can either get the hell away from this area as fast as possible, or you can double back and watch the wall on my left-hand side here to see movement behind the SUV, aka outskirts. So you can see my eyes are scanning on the left-hand side and eventually find a player inside Scav House who nails me. That's it for this video, guys. If any of the pathing and spawn knowledge here helped you today, let me know in the comments down below what map you would like to see next. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.